Joining us on the Heaster Automotive Group hotline, former NCFC superstar, Wake Forest legend, Austin da Luz, joining us on the Heaster Automotive Group hotline. Austin, what's up, man?
How we doing?
Super Bowl. It's your Super Bowl time. Soccer Super Bowl. Let's go.
Don't minimize it like that. It's offensive.
You know what? That's a good point because this is bigger than the Super Bowl. That's why so many people had a lot of things and emotions tied up in the U.S. men's national team and this debut of the reboot, the youth movement against Wales. And I feel like the result, the tie, for my casual soccer brain, I'm thinking, hey, good, right? But I feel like this is a Rorschach test for a lot of people and what you see in that 1-1 tie. What did you see yesterday against Wales?
Yeah, I think, in a vacuum, not a bad result, not the worst result in the world. Get a point out of your first game, that's okay. But I think with the context of how the game went and how dominant we were through the first half, that's where the disappointment comes in, that we weren't able to see out the result and get all 3 points, which I think would have been huge based on how England looked in the previous game. So, soccer fans are not the most measured folks. So
I hadn't noticed. So I guess the question that I have is what changed? They were aggressive. The U.S. was aggressive. They had some near misses early on, but then they took advantage of their own break, right, with the Tim Weah goal. Which the pass to Weah was the thing that really was the beautiful thing in that setup. So is that a matter of Wales kind of settling down, understanding, all right, let's just play back and force them into trying to set things up half field? Or did they just expend so much energy that they didn't really have any more juice by the time they got to the 80th minute and they took a bad penalty?
Yeah, I think that was definitely a little bit of it. We had to take off a couple of our key players in the middle of the field, and Weston McKennie and Yunus Musa, who both looked like they were kind of struggling for fitness, and that absolutely had an effect on the game. And Wales did make some adjustments that I think helped them quite a bit. They brought on Kiefer Moore, who's 6'5". They put him up top, and they were able to control things a little bit better with him up there. But ultimately, I think it really comes down to our ability to execute. In the second half, our decision making, our quality of play on the break and in transition was just really, really poor. And like you said, that's where the goal came from in the first half, was a quick counter, some really nice interplay between Josh Sargent and Christian Pulisic, and a great finish from Tim Weah. And that quality just wasn't there in the second half.
Austin da Luz joining us here on the OG. I'm Joe Ovies. Giglio out today. He'll be back tomorrow. The World Cup continues to roll on. The United States will be back in action on Friday against England. As you mentioned earlier, they did quick work on Iran 6-2. And I guess this is where the math comes into play, right? I don't think anybody expects the U.S. to beat England. I think the last time the U.S. beat a European team in World Cup play was in 2002. I think I have that right. And you got to go back I think you got to go back to the 60s for the other time after that. So it doesn't happen very often. This is a stacked English team, right? So it all kind of comes down to Iran. And that's where the math comes into the equation. I mean, do you base what the U.S. can do based on what England did to them yesterday, 6-2, or is that more about England than it is Iran?
I think it's a little bit more about England. They looked very, very strong. And I think, we know England's quality on paper. They have some of the best players in the world. But it's always with them about, are they going to put it together? And they put it together yesterday. And I think that's really concerning for American fans, because I think the last thing you want is a team with that much talent playing with confidence and that kind of oomph. You score 6 goals, you're going to be feeling good. And so that's concerning. I think I would love to see England blow Wales away as well. I think that would be helpful to us at this point. And another big concern for me from the game yesterday is that the U.S. just really didn't create a ton of quality chances, almost none outside of the goal. And so if we're going to start relying on like math and goal differential, man, it's going to be tough because I don't see us scoring a ton of goals.
Austin da Luz joining us here on the OG. I'm Joe Ovies. Giglio out today. He'll be back tomorrow. Austin da Luz, formerly NCFC. So I'm trying to find the right way to phrase it with the U.S. and not it be condescending to what they're trying to do this year, right? This is your opportunity for these players. But I feel like having missed the World Cup was the necessary catalyst to make some very needed changes to the program. And they went with the youth movement this year. And I feel like this run is to set up for the next. That this is to get the experience. While there is experience on the squad of guys playing in the EPL, et cetera, right? That you need this to get you to the next 4 years when the hype around the U.S. men's national team is going to be even greater because it's getting played here, Canada, U.S., and Mexico. Is that a way to look at this? You know, I'm not trying to moral victory whatever happens, but I feel like this really is a setup and a process for what the next World Cup will be.
Yeah, and I think that's probably like the rational way to look at it. Again, you know,
you don't want to be rational, Austin.
Country.
You really don't want to be. You do not want to be rational. Like, I can tell you're being measured about this right now. I'm trying to be like, hey, big picture, here we go. You're like, damn it, they had a chance. Just say it. They blew it yesterday. They should have beat Wales. That's what you're trying to say.
They did, yeah. In a sense, they did. It was a big missed opportunity. But I think, to your point, like, I think right now we kind of want to have our cake and eat it too, where it's like, yeah, we have all these really young, talented players that are playing at some of the biggest clubs in the world. We should be competing. But then when things don't really go our way, it's like, well, the next one's the one for us, right?
Gotcha.
And so it's like at some point we need to decide who we want to be. It's like plenty of other countries around the world have players that are the same ages as ours, and they are carrying the load for their team. If you look at England, you look at Jude Bellingham, who played center mid for England, unbelievable performance. You know, not making any excuses for guys like that. And he has more talent around him. So it's not exactly a 1-to-1, but yeah, like at some point we got to, you know, make the decision. Who do we want to be, you know, and what are we asking of our players?
Austin da Luz, formerly NCFC, here talking some World Cup. Hey man, we appreciate it. What are you going to do for the England game?
I'm going to be at home, actually, doing Thanksgiving, you know, with my parents. So it'll be fun. Get to watch it with my son, with my dad, and send the prayers up, man, that we can keep it tight at least. You know what I mean?
Hey, man, shock the world. That's what I always say. Yeah. Shock the world. Yeah. Austin, appreciate it, man. We'll talk to you later.
All right. Thanks, Joe.